Hey everyone, I'm Jared Sanders,
And I'm Morgan Mendelson.
and we're bringing you the 9th episode of What's Behind the Game, where you'll get an exclusive look at how all your favorite athletes eat, train, and anything else you'd like to know. Today on the show we have Tim Siegel. Tim was a professional tennis player and head coach of Texas Tech Tennis for 23 years. After a brain injury to his son Luke, Tim helped build and now is the executive director of Team Luke Hope for Miles, a charity which helps families with kids who have suffered traumatic brain injuries. So let's welcome Tim.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Good. So we want to start off with tennis. When did you start playing, and how did you fall in love for the game?
My parents and I, we lived in a neighborhood about a mile or two from a tennis club in Metairie, Louisiana, a suburb of New Orleans. And I just took a liking from the very beginning and played some tournaments at an early age and had some success and really loved playing and had a lot of passion for it.
Okay, that's awesome. And so what was your training like growing up? Was it super intense, or was it mostly for just falling in love for the game?
Back then, I practiced on my own. My parents rarely watched me practice, so I just had that love and that desire. I pretty much played every single day. I loved it that much. I would train in different ways, from hitting on the backboard to doing a lot of running, a lot of biking, as well as a lot of practicing on the court.
Sure, that's awesome.
Did things change, how did things change when you got to college at Arkansas?
Well, going back just first for the junior years, it helped that I had some success early on. I was one of the top juniors in the country at 12 years old. So from that point on, because I had success, it was easy for me to continue to keep striving for more. And when I went to Arkansas, Arkansas was one of the top 10 teams in college. One of the reasons I chose Arkansas was for their success, and also I had some friends on the team. So it was a good transition, but it was a great opportunity to be around great players every day, train harder than I've ever trained, being around great players and playing a great schedule. So it was definitely an avenue to help me get ready for professional tennis.
And just being around great players, so that just upped the competition, and so you're all trying to friendly competition in a way? Or?
Well, when you practice with great players every day, it's going to help you get better, especially when they have aspirations to be professional. The discipline was there. So I had a team full of players that really wanted to improve. So it was very serious, it was very intense, and I think we pushed each other to get better.
What about moving into the professional ranks? What was it like in terms of your schedule, in terms of your training? How did it change moving forward?
Well, I graduated in December of 1986 and played my first professional tournament in January, right after, at the Australian Open. The thing about professional is that I knew I was a better doubles player than singles player. So my success in juniors and in high school and college was about doubles, and I loved playing doubles. So I knew I had a chance to be a pretty good doubles player on the tour, at least I thought. But until you get out there, you really don't know. It certainly changes the way you view tennis when you're around players, John McEnroe, Stefan Edberg, people like that I grew up idolizing, and here I'm in the same locker room. But I played very well in my first couple of tournaments, and at that point I felt I belonged. And so the training was really the same as far as, I was more specific on doing doubles type drills, working on my doubles game, return to serve, volleys, serving especially. But when you are a professional tennis player early on, it's really about, do you believe that you belong, and then do you believe you can continue to improve and get better. And I had a pretty good professional career in doubles, played for 3 years, was ranked around 100 in the world, and beat some really quality players, Yvonne Lendl, played against John McEnroe, had some success, played all the Grand Slams, Wimbledon, the US Open, and it was an opportunity for me to not only enjoy the game and compete against great players, but also travel the world, which is something that you really don't take for granted.
For sure. And did you take that approach of thinking you were a doubles player and things like that? Did you use that when you started coaching professionally? Did you use that mindset as well? Did that help you?
When I finished playing, I only played for 3 years because I knew I wanted to coach. And I started my coaching career coaching players on a tour, and certainly it helps when you've been there. The players that I've coached knew I had played at a pretty good level, but I also had a lot of burning desire to work hard. And so those that I coached, I wanted to make sure they understood work ethic was the most important thing. And the thing about professional tennis, you're going to lose every week. Unless you win the tournament, you've lost. And so it's not being too down or too up, depending on how the week goes. But it's about improving. And so often when you practice, you're focusing on your strengths, but it's really about improving your weaknesses.
Right. So
that you, when you're playing, whether it's doubles or singles, that your game is evolving. So many of the great players today, Rafael Nadal comes to mind, where years ago he was a great player, but he didn't have a great serve or really good volleys. His backhand has improved. He has improved every part of his game. So even at that level, you can still get better.
Right, for sure. So how did you get your team ready before a match?
Well, I was someone that, when it came to college coaching, I believe that it's really more about how much you want it, how hard you work, and then being a part of a team. Although tennis is an individual sport, it's really about team chemistry, leadership. It's about playing hard for each other. I used to tell people that you're playing for the double T on your shirt when I coached at Texas Tech, but you're really actually playing for each other. And you don't want to let anybody down.
Right.
And so, I try to be the same, whether we're playing against a team that's ranked 80 in the country or a team ranked 8. It's about, my approach every match was the same.
Right.
Play hard, be prepared, and go out there and play smart, because there are talented players out there that don't play smart. And it really comes down to, when everyone has similar level, similar talent, it's really about being tough and being smart.
That's awesome. I like how you take an individual sport and make it a team sport, because it really is. Even though you may be the only one on the court at the time, you're still playing for your teammates, not only for yourself. So how did you prepare any young athletes that weren't really good at mentally preparing for a game?
Well, the mental side of tennis is so incredibly important. It's important in every sport, but certainly it is individually when it's just you against your opponent. It's not necessarily how well you play. It's about exposing your opponent's weaknesses, and they could be either mental or they could be physical, whether it's a specific shot that they're weak. But a lot of times it's really about just finding a way to win. And that's what I loved about coaching, is that in college you can be on the court, you can coach as much as you want, and I always felt that strategy was a strength of mine when it came to coaching. That, and simply motivating players to give everything they had. And I feel good about the career that we had at Texas Tech, that the players went out and played hard for me and for each other.
Right.
Do you have any favorite moments?
I definitely have plenty of favorite moments. I think that some that come to mind, we had a big win in 2015 when we knocked off the #1 ranked team in the country, Oklahoma. That was very special. I forget what year. I believe it was the year that we were top 15 in the country, and it was a night match against Texas. We had over 1,100 people in the stands, and it came down to 7-6 in the third, last match on, the final match, to win 4-3 against Texas, a school that I have a lot of respect for. Michael Center, the coach at Texas, has done a great job every year. And so, those are a couple of special moments. But making the Sweet 16 in 2005, it's not so much about the end result that I remember. It's more about the camaraderie that I miss, the players playing hard, the van trips. I took the team to a lot of sporting events because I'm a big sports fan. So we went to hockey games, football, basketball, baseball, all kinds of events. I wanted our environment to be inside the lines. We're going to play hard. Outside, we're going to have a good time. And if you play hard, you're going to enjoy playing for me. If you're not quite sure you want to play hard, I'm probably the worst coach you can play for.
For sure.
What are the differences, or what are the challenges of taking those pressure situations, like going against Texas, when you're a coach versus a player, so you can't control the outcome?
Well, I hate to use the word, pressure is a word that I think is in some ways overused, because if you go out and you're prepared and you play the way you are supposed to, whatever happens, happens. I think when you either as a coach show that there's pressure, or that your players feel the pressure, they're going to play not as well. You want to have nerves for sure. Nerves will force you to be focused. But I tried I never really looked at it as if there was more pressure to play against Texas than against UTSA, for example. They're tennis matches. Go out there and play, and if I feel like the team that plays the hardest, the toughest, the smartest, they're going to win more than they lose, for sure.
So, moving into Team Luke Hope for Mines, can you tell our audience that may not be familiar with the story what happened to your son Luke?
July 28, 2015, I had received a phone call that my son Luke, who was 9 at the time, was in a golf cart accident. Didn't know the severity until we arrived at the hospital, where we had been found out that Luke was in cardiac arrest for 7 minutes. He suffered head and chest trauma. We were at the UMC hospital in Lubbock for 44 days, and then Cook Children's Hospital in Fort Worth for 4 months. Luke suffered an anoxic brain injury. We've been home since January 6th of 2016. So for nearly 3 years, we do therapies here in town, PT, OT, and speech. We also travel to Fort Worth 3 days a week, where we do a special treatment at the Neurological Recovery Center. So it's a challenge for our entire family. I have 4 children. Luke was a tremendous little baseball player, loved sports. You know, here we are, the day of a NFL football day, when usually he and I would be getting ready for our New Orleans Saints to compete and talk about the games. But it's not the same anymore. But it doesn't mean that I don't communicate with Luke, because I do that as much as I ever did.
Sure. And you talk a lot about like the importance of faith in a time like this, and what role does faith play, like, for you and your family?
Well, I actually spoke yesterday at the Texas Tech Therapeutic Writing Center, and one of my messages, there's a 5-part message that when I speak to students, organizations all over the state, it's a 5-part message where find your passion, I had lost mine, don't ever quit. Obviously that deals with life. The 3rd is to lean on friends, family, counselors, teachers, coaches. And I talk about that because I had lost some passion. I had moments felt like quitting, and then I had leaned on no one for a long time. The 4th is to make good choices, be careful. And then the 5th is to have faith. And I tell this that my faith is tested every day, but without my faith I wouldn't be able to stand in front of people and discuss it. So, you know, I don't know how people get through what I've experienced without faith. I understand that anger and frustration, a lot of different things that come into my head are not healthy. I'm trying to work through those things, but I know I have my son here with me, and I have 3 daughters and a grandson as well, and my wife. So I have a lot of responsibility to keep things going, not to look back, not to look too far ahead, but focus on today.
That's awesome. Yeah, taking it day by day and trying to focus on like the little steps that you can take and everything like that. So you're definitely one of the best people we've talked to in terms of like handling like tragedy and like staying on that course. So what do you do that keeps you fighting?
Well, I think it's easy when, you know, I remember when friends of mine, peers of mine that were coaches, winning was so important, and I'm as competitive as anyone. But I never saw my job as who I was. Who I am is a father first, and so it's easy for me to keep going when I have 4 children and a wife to take care of, and especially now with my son and my situation, there are things that I feel like have helped me hopefully inspire, motivate, impact others by being the executive director of Team Luke Hope for Mines. We now help families with children who have suffered brain injuries. We've given out almost $200,000 this year. So it is impactful when I can help others. Mm-hmm. It really helps me. And then when I get out in front of students and speak to them about our story, I've had people come up to me and tell me how much that our talk has meant to them. I also know that, you know, without prayer and support, and without my son being the fighter that he is, I don't know that he would make the progress that he's making. So there are a lot of things that I attribute his improvement, and the most important to me is that he is a fighter, and that I know that he needs love, and he needs therapies, and he needs support every day, and I think together we're going to get through this.
For sure. And is him and like your family like the reason why you just keep fighting and don't let small things like that keep you back and like hold you down?
Well, I have moments for sure where I'm anything but strong.
Mm-hmm.
I sleep next to Luke 4 nights a week, and I wake up in the middle of the night a lot of the time. The days seem long sometimes, but I'm at my best when I'm next to him, and I know that he understands some things, and he certainly knows when I'm there. I'm in the process now of writing a book, almost finished with it, and it's our experience, and hopefully it's not only about what we're experiencing, but how we can help other parents who have gone through this, because when I'm at therapy, I understand very well that I'm far from the only one that's dealing with things like this. So we're sort of a family that we try to help each other out, and quitting is not something that I ever experienced as a player, as a coach, and certainly not as a dad.
That's awesome.
What went into starting Team Luke and ultimately Team Luke Hope for Minds, and what led you to want to go in that direction?
I had a friend who said to me, you know, you ought to consider starting a foundation, and I thought, I don't have the energy, but what it's done is it's given me energy. And so in January of 17, we started the Team Luke Foundation. But I met an amazing woman named Rhonda Johnson in June of 2017 who had Hope for Minds, a similar nonprofit. And we got together in Austin, and really a few hours after our meeting, we decided that the best thing to do for us and for children all over the country is to form Team Luke Hope for Minds. And it's gone great. We started in January of this year, and as I said, in just 10 months, I think we've made an impact on a lot of people around the country, and I'm really, really excited about not only what we're doing today, but what we're going to do in the future.
In terms of like anyone struggling through a difficult situation, athletes, what does it do for you in terms of having a community, a group of people that you can lean on?
Well, the tennis community is quite a family. You know, not only the college coaching fraternity, and all of them have reached out. We've had a lot of teams that have reached out to us, and they're wearing the Team Luke Hope for Minds bracelet or the Team Luke Hope for Minds t-shirt or hoodie, and that's special. But also the fraternity of former professional tennis players or those that are still playing. We've had so many people reach out to us in the world of sports, certainly in the world of tennis. Roger Federer, Andy Roddick, Andre Agassi, so many have done so many things for us. Federer and Nadal have sent videos, John Isner, but Andy Roddick went to Arkansas last year for an event to help us raise money, and then Andre Agassi helped us raise over $200,000 this year, just last month. So the tennis community is fantastic, and not only the tennis community, we've had the whole sports world. Elvis Andrews is the Texas Rangers shortstop, and Luke loved him as a player, and we stopped by to see him. He came to see Luke in the hospital. And then Luke's hero is Drew Brees, the quarterback of the New Orleans Saints. We have seen the Saints play a few times before the accident. We reached out to Drew Brees. He sent a few videos. We actually went to a couple of Saints games with Luke after the accident, where he met Drew, and Drew gave us the game ball that's sitting in our living room. And then Drew Brees came to Lubbock, sat in this very house talking to us, and then had an event in May of this year where we also raised quite a bit of money. So it's inspiring to see how many people Luke is inspiring. When you have a lot of followers that we have on Facebook, and people that have reached out to me that they're changing the way they parent or the way their kids are, it certainly softens the blow to what we've experienced.
Yeah. Not only do they give like support to you, but or give you energy to keep going, but it also builds the community, and I feel like in a way it makes you feel like that you're not alone either, which is, I mean, it's a hard thing to go through, especially, and it's hard for just not only your family but everyone else, and the fact that you turn something so negative into something so positive and helping other people out here is honestly really inspiring, because you, like you said, you could have just not have done it, and you're inspiring and helping more people than you know, and that's
Well,
amazing.
I appreciate it. It certainly does. You know, I have a lot of friends, but it's still sometimes you feel quite alone,
Right.
especially in the middle of the night when things aren't going so well. 5 weeks ago, we had another accident where Luke's wheelchair fell over and he had a significant brain bleed where we were rushed to the hospital. But the one thing that Luke does is he tends to recover pretty well and he fights back. And you know, maybe my days as a player, but more specifically as a coach, has sort of gotten me prepared for what I'm doing now. I don't coach at Texas Tech. I don't coach professional tennis players. I just coach a different team, and that's Team Luke.
Yeah.
And so the rest of my life, I will spend every minute that I can to help children get better, and at the same time, hopefully helping my son get better.
That's awesome. And there's a lot of athletes out there who are going through things, different injuries and depression and things like that. And what is like, and the importance of like reaching out to counselors and things like that. And what would you say to someone who isn't comfortable speaking out or reaching out if they're not in the right like state of mind?
Well, and I'm the perfect person to ask that because I was quite open and always willing to talk. And then I shut down for about 9 months, and it's not healthy for me, it's not healthy for anyone around me. And I think anyone that's going through any tough times, whether it's an injury or just things at home, share those with, whether it's professionals, therapists, counselors, good friends, people that they can trust, because it's just not healthy. I use that word healthy a lot because I'm learning that health is not just not having a brain injury.
Right.
Health is taking care of yourself mentally and physically. And I know mentally I'm not the same person. I need counseling, I need medication. But I also know that today I'm better than I was 6 months ago. Certainly better than I was 3 years ago.
Right.
And I have my moments, I have my days that are awful. But I also know that every day is a new day. I had someone that had reached out to me. I was driving, I ended up at a parking lot, I had my head down, and someone knocked my window and said, "I'm praying for you, one foot in front of the other." And that's sort of become my motto now, to put one foot in front of the other. It's something that we all take for granted, but at the same time, it's a basic thing that we sometimes struggle with.
Right.
And that's certainly one thing. And also, we've been hearing for 3 years, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. But I actually look at it a little bit differently. I look at it as if it's a new sprint every day, because every day we start over.
Right.
And although a sprint is a short amount of time, and a day is a long time, it feels like one long sprint. And the exhaustion mentally, physically. But every day, I have the strength from above that gives me the focus to keep going.
Right. That's really inspiring. That took me back for a second.
Is there anything about Team Luke Open Minds you want our audience to know about?
Well, I feel that I have a role now, and that is to give hope to other families. The mothers and fathers that call me with their situation, it takes me back to mine, which is devastating, but at the same time I know I'm giving them hope, because most of the time doctors have told us there's very little hope. So this word has really become a key word in my life. There are places, the Neurological Recovery Center here in Lubbock at PTI, the Texas Tech Therapeutic Writing Center, where I feel hope, and I feel Luke's going to get better, and I feel like we have to have hope in everything that we do, but certainly every day I wake up, I believe and I feel like there's going to be hope.
That's awesome. And our last question, we always ask this at the very end. Do you have, what are your 3 recommendations or anything that you wish you would have known while you were a young athlete, and anything in general that you would like to pass on?
Well, I think, you know, to be a good athlete, to be a successful athlete, it's not about wins and losses. It's about the work ethic, the attitude that you have, because sports is life. When you play hard, when you prepare yourself well, and you're open-minded to coaching, you're going to get better. And I think when people put a number on what they want to do for a goal, to me it's going out and giving everything that you have, because regardless of where sports takes you, when it's time for a job outside of sports, you've understood the importance of work ethic, you've understood the importance of being on time, about being disciplined. And I think that's what the beauty of sports is, that it really gets you ready for life after sports.
Sure, that's awesome.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, your message about putting one foot in front of the other, I know from my own personal experience, it's not easy to do. And so that's just incredibly inspiring. Thank you so
Appreciate
much.
it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.